Ciao.
Hello.
Danielle.
Nice to meet you.
Raffaella.
Hello.
She's the owner of the atelier. Her father was the greatest artisan behind the names, the brands of Italian fashion as Armani, Valentino, and now she will explain us everything about this amazing
I'm
world.
trying. I hope to be good enough to explain everything, especially my English. So I think I'll
Follow her, please. Including thousands of samples of decorations used for Valentino, Crizia, Versace's collections, for all the biggest designers.
my father started in 1958. He was studying medicine, but then he discovered that medicine was not his real
talent.
And talking with a friend whose father was doing this job, he decided to try and started working in this atelier, who was based in Milan. Because in those periods, in the 50s, and also with the start of high fashion, Milan was the center for embroideries, for fashion embroideries. It was not Rome, it was not Florence, it was Milan. And so here there were a lot of small atelier of embroideries for these fashion houses who were creating dresses for the ladies. And he started there. At the beginning, he went to Paris to learn from the biggest, from Lesage, Aurel, Vermont, and he went to see all the materials producers for sequins, for trims, all the elements that were used usually for classic embroideries. And so he learned a lot of things. He also went to an atelier to learn how to embroider, just because he wanted to be sure that explaining things to his girls was exact. And so he was not inventing things or asking impossible things. So he just learned a little bit how to embroider. And in the end, he stayed there with in this atelier for about 9 years. And after that, he decided it was the time to start his own. And in 1976, he opened his own atelier. And since then, he started working with the biggest of fashion. In the beginning, it was Crizia, Schubert, Milan, the now less known fashion names, but at that time they were very important. And then with the 80s, it started with Armani, Valentino, Dolce & Gabbana in the 90s, and Versace, Ferré, all the old names that some of them are no more existing, like Ferré or others, but the biggest are still with us.
And they found him. He didn't seek them out, or did they come to him?
The beginning, Valentino was a client of his previous atelier, but unluckily, but also luckily for my father, this man died a few months later after my father left.
Yeah.
And so all the clients and all the employees went to work with my father. So he started then. But yes, let's say that at the time it was very common that they came
exactly.
looking for him.
Personally.
Yes.
Valentino, Armani were used to come here in this workshop.
Yes.
Personally, to discuss
More. It was my father who went there. Mr. Valentino didn't move from Rome. No. Okay. It was my father going there. Mm-hmm. But it happens also that they came here at the beginning when they were themselves dealing with everything. After
to discuss details of the embellishment, or the decoration.
Yes. Everything that was involved with the collection. Mm-hmm. They were talking and explaining things, and then my father started doing the swatches, and after that the collection goes.
Unfortunately, Pino, her father, passed away just 2 years ago, just after the first lockdown for COVID. And well, the fashion world lost really lot.
Yes,
Really lot.
I think so too.
He was a great name
Yes.
on the Italian fashion.
Yes, because his peculiarity was to deeply understand the mood of the collections, and so it was very easy for him to talk with the designer and then to create embroideries that were perfectly matching their own thoughts. And so it was one of the most important thing, because when they explain you something like, please, I want something like clouds and smoke and things like that, that hasn't got a real meaning.
Yeah.
It doesn't give, they don't give you a specific theme or a specific idea. You have to
they do
invent
not
it.
come here with sketches.
Yes.
Okay, they
Or
don't.
the decoration. They don't.
And then we invent things, we create things, and then on these samples that everything will be developed after. And so it was his main.
And then they collaborated from that point.
Yes.
For the design, for the collection.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And this is more or less.
Yeah. He
But
just
anyway.
received inputs
Yeah.
from the designers, and he had to translate them into embellishments.
Yeah.
That was his
And
great
I
talent.
quite learned this part from him.
So you've taken over.
I'm taking
You've
over.
taken over, yeah.
I'm here since 25 years now.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I've followed quite all the clients since about 6 years. Even if my father was working with me until the very end, he was working every day. He never stopped 1 minute working.
Yeah.
He was also dealing with a lot of things here. He was perfectly able to do everything. So even if it was in
I do
89,
prefer-
but
till the end.
yeah, he was a great help for me, because we divided things. I brought my husband here
Oh, good. From another city.
from another, not city, from another work.
Okay,
He
good.
had to quit his work and come here to help me, because alone it was impossible.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Calling someone else that's not in the business, it's very complicated. Finding someone able to follow me in this thing is more than complicated, and so I prefer to took him in and teaching him everything, and is trying to follow everything that's papers, emails, things that are not involved in creation at the moment, but in all the rest.
The business.
And so
Yeah. So do you do creative, he does a business, or does he do creative and you do business, or both?
both. Let's say that he's learning. He's
Yeah.
still learning. He started in November, so it's
Yeah,
it's very young now.
yeah, sure. Young old, right?
Yes.
How many artisans do you
Here?
have?
We are more or less inside. We are 20. All of them, not me and my husband. They are 20, and then I've got 2 other people working at home.
The novelty this year, you had 2 men
Two men.
working too. That's
Yes.
unusual, because usually feminine hands are more skilled, delicate.
Yes,
That's
but
a novelty.
Max is a real artist.
Uh-huh.
He's very good in drawing and painting and creating and manipulating things, so he's good. And he loves to embroider, so he's never quit the opportunity to embroider, so he's always embroidering. And the other guy is Indian, and in India are men who are doing embroideries, and so he's his skills.
I see. Raffaella, would you like to show us your studio?
I've changed the tour. We go directly in the artwork room. I've got paintings there. It's easier and it's wider. Usually,
okay.
especially
Okay.
for COVID, we decided not to go in there because it's too small.
Let's do it.
And so we can go. Okay, so here is where we create artworks and ideas. How do we work? Usually, as she was saying before, first of all, we have a contact with the client. The client asks us to create swatches, or went down to the archive and chose among all our samples, some of them, and decided how to go on and create things in due course, no? While they are deciding everything and we go on. When we have to create swatches, they usually give us some ideas, like in this case was futurism, the artistic movement, and so we created a lot of swatches and I chose one like this one.
And that is like more like this piece?
This is at the end, what was on the fashion show.
Okay.
So starting from a small swatch, I decided to use it and placing it like this on a sketch. They gave us the paper pattern, and working on the paper pattern, we placed the embroidery in a certain specific way. This is the final product. At the beginning, we create an artwork that's technical. It means that we put all symbols of all the materials that will go inside, so that the embroiderers don't have to worry about their work, just everything's planned and organized. So we do the artwork on this paper. That's called pergamene, I think in English, I'm not sure. And this paper is useful because it's transparent, but it's strong. We do the artwork. You can see better like this. We do the artwork with all these letters and symbols. And then we use a special machine to make holes. And you can feel it here. And these holes allow that powder to go through. So we place this on fabric, like this. We put the powder, and the artwork will be perfectly stamped on a fabric, like if it's a cotton. So you're no, le mascherine.
You're giving them this piece, and then they're putting on the rest of it.
In this case, we work on the real fabric, and then they will stitch it in their
into the dress.
Before the dress is stitched, we work on the fabric before it is stitched, because we have to put it on the loom. I'll show you later in the other loom.
And based on the size, right, you need to scale it down enough. And they give you all that information.
All the info, they gave us the perfect paper pattern that will be used to relate to us.
Very good.
So,
that's really cheap.
Anche questo se vuole
Grazie, gentilissima.
this is a special powder that has got pigments and a glue inside. And the glue, if I put enough or not. I'll do it heavy. Just see. Usually we are not heavy because otherwise we will make stains in the fabric like this. Just to see. It's too little because it's old. You see, if you do like this, it comes away because it's just the powder. But if you put alcohol, attention, because it's alcohol, it melts the glue, and when it's dry, the artwork will never come again. Will never come away again. Never. Even if you wash it, even if you brush it, even if you have to stay hundreds and hundreds of hours to embroider, it will never come away because the glue fixed the pigment and it's not coming away anymore.
Yes, not on my hands anymore. Yeah.
No more.
Yeah.
And
Doing
that's,
this on lighter fabric and then there.
yes, any kind of fabric. You can use it on silk, on polyester, everything. It's not.
And you should have even done this on fur.
We did this on fur. This is Versace. This is Armani, and the Louis Vuitton. This is Armani, Dolce & Gabbana, Schiaparelli, Louis Vuitton, Bottega Veneta, Dolce & Gabbana Men. There are a lot of different.
Puoi raccontare qualche aneddoto?
Yes, sure. I'm coming to that also.
I asked for some storyteller about the most iconic dresses that
Because when you see something like that, usually it's very difficult to understand how much time, how many people have worked on this, no? So for a dress like this, we decided to use, they chose a sample that we had in our pipe made with crinoline. I don't know if you know what crinoline is. It's a kind of, it's a ribbon, very long, in this case it's a ribbon, but it's the kind of hard net that you put under the gowns to keep the skirt very wide, and right now that it's used in the past to make things stand steady and wide. If you use it in ribbons, we put it standing on the fabric, we stitched it standing vertically, not flat. And so it makes all these kind of waves in the skirt and also in the upper part. And it was white, but they wanted it a little bit more shady. And so we had to dye it with a specific paint. But instead of doing all the same, we did it in a way that we call in Italian mal pinto. It means bad, in a bad way, so that it's irregular, completely different from here, from here and there, completely different.
But they wanted that.
They wanted that because when we stitched it, we saw how many shades it has here and here, because it was not all the same, and so being so different and stitching it randomly, the color was random. It was never the same in the same place. And it took, and then in between all these ribbons, there was all the Swarovski elements and the glass beads and everything that's shiny and brilliant, because the crinoline is matte. And so we had to add something shiny that was reflecting the light. And after we did all the skirt and the top part, while they were stitching it, they discovered that the under part of the skirt was visible because this dress has got this crease coming up. And so they decided to put embroidery also on the lining. And so the skirt is embroidered over and also under. So that when she was walking, you see that keeping up of the skirt. Also the under part was nice and not ugly, like just a lining, you know? Sure. And it took more or less 900 hours of work just for embroidery. Because then when they finished stitching it, they asked us to prepare and add some parts where the stitching so that it became invisible, no? This was a model. Sorry? Yes, because it took a long time to dye the materials, to stitch it, to create all the waves.
So where do these pieces go after there? This is done,
so they, usually this is high fashion, so whether a client buys it, or it remains in the company. This one, usually when you do high fashion, it's just one, because it's difficult that you desire to buy a dress that someone else has got it the same. So they do just one for a special lady. It costs very much, and so it's something special. But being so beautiful, they saw the five of them. So we had to change the color for this five. One pink, one blue, one always this fading color, very light, very pastel color, not very soft. And so we did another five of them. But this one remains in the company, because this gray one, they kept it as special one. And they used it also for special events as a masterpiece for presentation. And so it remains. This is Versace, this is Armani. And this is nothing specific, but we use crinoline here as an embroidery element. And here, the dress is made of crinoline. All these ribbons that you see is this kind of specific fabric or material. It's not a fabric, it's a kind of net. But after I'll show you what it is. And in reality, the strange thing of this dress was that it was all made with Swarovski cubes in a specific color that is like cyan, in different sizes. It's 4 mm, 6 mm, they are small cubes. In that period, Swarovski was not producing these cubes. But we had to produce this embroidery for the Golden Globes. And Armani wanted this dress, so we couldn't find the materials because they were nowhere to be found. And so using the computer, it's the only way we use the computer now, just by research and things. We bought them all over the world because we had to have them. And so we tried to find them all over the world, and we find them in Canada, in Japan, in Belgium. I don't remember all the places, but a piece here, a piece there. And in the end, we started collecting all the elements necessary.
Do you remember how many there are?
Thousands, but I don't remember. There were thousands and thousands because it's completely full here, and then all the
And what about the Dolce & Gabbana collection over there?
This one is a particular thing because this one may seem laces, these two dresses, but they are embroideries. The difference is that laces, you do it by making knots with threads altogether without any face fabric. While embroidery is something that you do on a fabric. You have to create something but on a fabric. In this case, we do all the embroidery on the fabric, making a very thin chain stitch with a crochet. That's a small hook that you work with, and then you cut all the fabric in between. So it's a very, very long work, very, very precise and difficult, so you have to have a very good hands doing this job. And for the first high fashion collection, Dolce & Gabbana did a lot of them because the theme of the collection was il Gattopardo e il Barocco Siciliano, the Sicilian Baroque period. And in that period, all the dresses were huge, immense. The skirts were so big and beautiful and very, very rich. But they wanted to present something different. That is to say, there, the richness was there and it was very visible. Here, they are very rich, but you don't see it. Because this skirt is 9 meters long for 1 meter and 60 meters. And it is very, very thin, the fabric, and all wrinkled on the waist. And so it took so many hours and so much work that it's so rich in reality. The richness is to be understood. Because it's something that is in the work, in the artisanal work that's inside, and not just the fabric that is due. So that was more or less the idea that we wanted to transmit. Everything that is done by hand, the work, that's the preciousness of this dresses. This was 9 meters, this was 6 meters, and they were completely hand embroidered, and it took a lot of hours, more than 1,000 hours.
Wow.
Yes, yes. Also because there were all these very small scallops here, very thin and tiny, and everything that needs to be cut. Piece by piece needs to be cut. This is Louis Vuitton. We're starting doing a cruise collection, a very easy one with small embroideries, and then they loved them and created all these beautiful dresses for special events like the Oscars. That's Grammys, Oscars, Golden Globes and everything. So we did a lot of them, and the strange thing was that everything started from very small piece. Just a very small t-shirt with a small embroidery, but in the end I decided to use specific with them to create these beautiful dresses. The fur of Versace is particular because it's not very visible, unfortunately, but It's plastic, serpent skin, and the Swarovski stones. So it's a specific technique. We have to insert the PVC pieces here. First we embroider them and then we stitch them inside the fur. And then we cut the fur, so we call it incrustation. But usually you do it on fabric, not plastic on fabric. And not plastic on fur.
Yeah.
So it was very complicated, but in the end it was beautiful, yes.
All of this, that's the one that caused my attention.
Yes, and usually we work, as I was telling you before, on pieces of fabric, so we never see the final product.
Wow.
Except in special occasion when they come back just to be adjusted or someone wants to add
This is
something.
Armani Corriere, the highest line
Yes.
of Armani.
And so they brought this back.
They brought it back because they want to add something. And so we have to add here and there some more cubes. So these are the cubes that I was talking to you before.
Yeah.
These are blue and there they have to be red. So this is what the difference is, not just the color. But
And that was their, did they make the change after? Like it was like this, they wanted it like this and then they changed their mind after?
No. They just want to add something because the client wanted, they sold it and the client wants some more.
So
More
the client
embroidery.
can say, I want
More embroidery,
Yeah.
less embroidery.
at
yes.
that level of line.
Yeah,
Okay.
at that level, yes.
Yeah.
No, pret-à-porter,
Yeah.
what you find in the shops.
Chanel doesn't even want me to take off my apron. Okay.
No, but I was saying that we never see the final product
Yeah.
because just
I wanna
they,
see
they
it.
we just see them in the magazines and internet and the fashion show. Then we take the picture from there.
Sure.
But it's they are never as beautiful as when you outside from the website. No, because atelier, Versace atelier never went to the catwalk. They just took pictures. They just take pictures and present them on internet. Let me see all the Swarovski stones. Non li posso più nominare.
Do you know Maneskin?
Yes.
They are an Italian band who even sang with Rolling Stones.
Vado a prenderli.
Dai.
When they filmed The Great Gatsby, in reality they didn't create a
Do you
dress.
remember that movie with Robert Redford?
Yeah.
No, but this one was with DiCaprio.
Ah,
The last
yeah,
one.
the last one. Yes.
When they filmed it, they decided not to create specific dresses for the film, but they had a collaboration with Prada and they took a bunch of dresses from each collection in the last years and the previous years. And they took 5 of ours, all this kind of embroidery with all these very big sequins and different colors, all metallic colors, very bright.